The port in Banjul may remain in its current size due to lack of funding. GRCS and NDMA donate sanitary items and other items to internally displaced Senegalese migrants. The World Bank Africa launches the Gambia's first economic update. Stay tuned. Good evening, you're watching Gambia 24 with me, Sohna Tunkara, and now to our news in detail. The port in Banjul will remain in its current size due to lack of funding. National Assembly members wondered on Wednesday what might be wrong with the government. The port's expansion project, in the response of the Ministers of Works, Transport and Infrastructure, is reliant on external funding, which remains a big challenge at the moment. Details in this report.
The implementation of the port's expansion project was expected to come from the EU pledge of about $1.7 billion, but this target fell far off the line. As the Minister Lamin Job explained, the West African state is now compelled to explore other alternatives.
In the event that our negotiations have been so far this protracted, we might as well look at the short measures that you have mentioned, Honorable Member from Serekunda. We are thinking of using the revenue generated by the ports and looking at it as a means of collateral to raise funds. Through the bonding system that government could use. To address quicker intervention into our plans.
The withholding on the pledges for development funding by partners like the European Union was expressed in a number of unbearable conditions for the Gambia.
The main one is your debt to GDP ratio. That one, is monitored by IMF, World Bank, and they advise all donors, no, don't go there because this country, their debt to GDP ratio is not good. That's the main one. But aside that, there are other conditions that they impose. Like you have to submit an ESI, that is environment impact study. They ask that. And your human rights, whatever. There are a host of things that they ask.
The country's national development plan described the expansion of the port of Banjul as a priority, despite the lack of tangible signs of progress in that direction. The Gambia Ports Authority, however, released a tender for the expansion project, with a contract selection process that was expected to complete last year. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am Desise.
The Gambia's port expansion may be delayed due to insufficient funding. Now the two friendly nations will be cooperating in the field of military training and mechanisms as part of the agreement signed in Turkey's capital, Ankara. Turkey has been one of the Gambia's leading partners in the security sector since 1991. We have more in this report.
Turkey's defense chief welcomed his Gambian counterpart with a guard of honor on Wednesday. Turkey's Hulusi Akar and Gambia's Sheikh Omar Faye held a one-on-one meeting before interdelegation talks, according to the Turkish National Defense Ministry. Turkey's Chief of General Staff, General Yaska Gola, and Gambia's Chief of Defense Staff, Lieutenant General Yakuba Drame, also attended the meetings. During the meetings, the two parties exchanged views on bilateral and regional security, defense issues, and cooperation opportunities in the defense industry. Turkey has been one of Gambia's leading partners in the security sector since 1991. Cooperation agreement in the field of military training has been the driving force behind the 56-year-old relations between the two countries. Bilateral relations between Gambia and Turkey, which were initially exchanged exclusively in military domain, as well as at the international fora, such as the United Nations and the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, have become more comprehensive and multifaceted after the opening of the embassies in Banjul and Ankara in 2011. On the basis of friendly and fraternal relations existing between the two countries, many bilateral agreements, protocols and memorandums of understanding have been signed. Reporting for Africa News, I am Amadou Kante.
From that, about 250 Senegalese migrants who have fled to Batakunku village amid Sanyang violent protests have received some assistance from relevant officials. Gambia's Red Cross Society and the National Disaster Management Agency on Wednesday donated some sanitary items and foodstuff to help the sustained internally displaced families. They fled Sanyang following a riot that saw angry mob struck by the death of a native of the village, burned down Sanyang police station, a fish meal factory and stalls built on Sanyang beach. Our reporter Binta Jala witnessed the handing over and she tells us more in this report.
Over 250 Senegalese migrants flee to Batakunku due to the riots which occurred on Monday in Sanyang village. The Gambia Red Cross Society has distributed 160 blankets, 80 buckets, 48 bottles of Madar's liquid soap, 40 bottles of 5 liters disinfectant to the displaced population. The National Disaster Management Agency also donated food and other sanitary items worth $480,000. Sanyang grabbed national attention on Monday when the angry mob struck by the death of a native of the village. The youth of the community burned down the Sanyang police station, a fish meal factory, and stalls built on Sanyang beach. Some of the Senegalese victims who had been here for 4 decades lamented on the manner they were treated.
We were first taken to Sambuja before going to Sanyang in the afternoon. Then we took a boat to Batakunku. Honestly, we appreciate the support we received from the police who escorted us. We are now safe and secure, but it was really challenging for the Senegalese nationals residing in Sanyang. We have to always wish each other well so that we can live in peace. Without that, it would be difficult for us to unite as one people, because Senegal and the Gambia is one, so we should all preach peace.
Executive Director of National Disaster Management Agency, Sanada Haba, advised the people of Sanyang to restrain from violence.
What I will advise the population is to be more tolerant, and also that democracy does not mean the breakdown of law and order. It means the rule of law. So when such things happen, people should not take law into their own hand. We should make sure that we follow due process in terms of following the law. I think that will address the situation. If really people they think that peace is very expensive, let them try war.
One of the Red Cross members underscored what the Red Cross Society have done since the displaced persons came to Batakunku.
Well, I think Red Cross did wonders. That's my opinion, actually, because since we had the information, we heard it from just a volunteer. That's something that's happening inside. So we just decided to activate our contingency planning. That's how we went to Sanyang, and we tried to mobilize some of our ambulances to be there, about 2 ambulances. And since then, we are responding to the most vulnerable people within.
The incident triggered tension between the youth of Sanyang and the security forces. Police fired tear gas at the violent protesters, while the army briefly sent in troops to aid the police in controlling the situation. According to the Gambia Red Cross Society, the riot left 23 people injured who were later rushed to Sanyang Hospital for treatment. Senegalese ambassador to the Gambia, Basir Hussein, on Monday faulted his fellow Senegalese for allegedly killing Jibril Cisse. The police high command assured the public that thorough investigation will be conducted in the case of robbery with violence resulting in the death of Jibril Cisse, and justice will be served. The perpetrator is currently under police custody, helping with investigations. iAfrica TV can reliably confirm that some substances of suspected cocaine and cannabis were found at the Chinese fish meal factory, which is treated as a crime scene. For iAfrica News, Binta Jallo.
And from the report by Binta Jallo, Senegal's Deputy Director General of Police, General Amadou Ahmadi Lam, has on Thursday paid a courtesy call on the family of the late IGP Mamou Diop in Sinthiou Alhaji. General Lam, accompanied by a high-power delegation of senior police officers, came to present their condolences to the bereaved family, and the delegation was led by Abdoulaye Sanyang. Speaking to iAfrica TV, the Senegalese Deputy Police Chief said the late IGP Diop was an exemplary leader and a friend to Senegal. More of that in this report. The visit, according to him, is meant to showcase the joint security success the two countries had gained during the late IGP Diop's tenure in office. General Lam said the two security chiefs had common agenda to strengthen the existing relationship between the two countries, calling Diop as a God-fearing leader who dedicated his life to serving his country. He further commended the smooth movement of goods and services between the two countries.
General Usman Sy sent me and my delegation to come and pay condolences to the Gambia Police Force, the people of the Gambia, and the family of the late IGP. My boss and the late Diop were not just colleagues but friends too, and had constantly been in touch to strengthen the existing relationship between the two countries. That's why he personally should have been here. But due to the situation in Senegal, that's why I'm here with this delegation on his behalf to present his heartfelt condolences to the family and the Gambia in general.
The family of the late IGP Diop said although they have lost a family member, but have seen and felt the testimonies of people from all walks of life. The family further expressed gratitude to the Senegalese government, particularly the police administration, under the leadership of General Usman Sy, for sending his deputy to the Gambia. This, according to the family, shows his qualities in leadership. Mr. Usman Gay, a cousin to the late Diop, described him as a role model and a good leader whose qualities of leadership should be emulated by young officers to promote peace in the Senegambia region.
Mamou Diop was a school that every Gambian can learn something from Mamou Diop. And religious leaders have said a lot about him, relatives, friends, even the police. If you want a good attitude, you can learn from Mamou Diop. Dedication, you can learn from Mamou Diop. Respect for duties, you can learn from Mamou Diop. Sympathy, go and learn from the school of Mamou Diop. That was why I think God have assigned him to be a police training instructor for quite a long time. So whatever good attitude we see from the police, we have to thank him for that. We know that it's from the late Mamou Diop. It's only Allah who can pay him. And I know even the President Adama Barrow know that he has lost a great leader, somebody who was his right hand. We, the family, we were very shocked, but because of the crowd, the good deeds that people have explained have reduced our sadness, and change it into joy, because now we know that our own relative Mamou Diop was a great man.
Gambia's Deputy IGP Abdoulaye Sanyang revealed that his former boss was very keen in strengthening the bilateral relations between the Gambia and Senegal.
There has been a cordial relationship between the Gambia and Senegal. So the relationship between the Inspector General of Police, the late, and the Director General of Senegal Police is not only a working relationship, it's a family tie. They talked almost every day. They last spoke last Wednesday. I spoke to both of them. So that relationship will be further cemented, and we will ensure that these two forces work together for the benefit of the two countries.
Police Chief Mamou Diop died last Saturday at Medicare Clinic in Brusubi. The late IGP Diop served in various units of the police force for about 40 years and spent the greater part of his career as the administrator of the police training school in Yundo. The late Mahmoud Diop is survived by 3 wives and 4 children. Senegal's Deputy Director of Police pays a condolence visit to the late Mahmoud Diop's family. Now we will go with a short commercial break and the news continues. Stay tuned.
Budé da ngay ut ay bunta manam xarañ lol ci IT ak management ndax xam nga ne jàngukaay yu bari ñu ngi fi ci biir Gambia yu melni Suna Institute of Science and Technology, Camsys Technology, Inside Training Center ak Sebek College yuy jàngale xam-xami technology ak management. Mën nga gëna yokk sa xam-xam ci bunti management ak information technology bu yaatu gi boy jëfandoo yi di computer, storage networking manam dencukaay xarale yi ak yeneen jëfandukaay yi. Xëjna tamit yaa ngi ut ay bunta ci wàllum fashion design wala ñaw. Comme yeneeni jàngukaay yi ci biir réewi Gambia, SNS Institute of Creative Design ubbil na ndaw yi xarañ ci wàllum ñaw ak design bunte sàkku xam-xam bu dee ne sax amuloo kayiti jàng ci wàllum métier gi. Bu passé IT, management, fashion design ak ñaw, Wakawel website bi am na ay xibaar ci wàllum mbéy mi, plomb bi, sampa ak yeneen. Bu dee plomba nga bu yëngu ci wàllum defar lépp lu jëm ci dëkkuwaay wala nga doon sampakat bu yëngu ci wàllum construction te bëgg am xam-xami planning ak tabax, jàngukaay yi ci réew mi yu mel ni Inside Training Center mën nañ laa dimbale nga yokk sa xam-xam bu ëllëgee. bunte yi jublu ci wàllum agriculture tamit The Gambia College mën nañ laa jàngal xam-xam ci wàllum métier gi. wakawel.info/Gambia tamit amal na leen ay bunte yu wóor pour ñi xarañ te yëngu ci métier catering. bokkal ci ñi njëriñoo xam-xam jóge ko Mary Bennett Skills Training Center ngir mun a yokk seeni mën-mën te mun a wuyoo fépp fuñ leen woo pour ñam ak naan yu sell moo xam ci xew yi la dallukaay yi ak yeneen. boo bëggee yokk sa jàng ak tegtal jàngukaay yi dañ solool seen jàngkat yi wàcce ba pare tax na dinañ la won anam yooy amee liggéey ak waajal interview boo mootalee sa jàng. yow mi ut ay bunte yu wóor bu ñëwee ci wàllum tukki booy waajal tukki wakawel.info/Gambia dina la jox ay xibaar yu wóor yi lay teg ci yoon yu wér. boo duggee wakawel.info/Gambia dinga am ay xibaar yu leer te wóor ci nooy utee passeport, kayit yi nga soxla booy ut visa, ci travel health insurance, njëgi tukki, ba ci hotel bi ngay dal mbaa bank statement ak yeneen. wakawel.info/Gambia dinañ la jox ay xibaar yu leer ci wàllum fayam visa, dëkk bi nga war a dem ak ñaata la boo naree fay. dinañ la jox tamit ay téléphone number, website ak adresse. mbaa bokkoo ci nit ñi yaakaar ne bu du jaaree yooni gannaaw duñ fi mun a tekkee kon nag jaaral ci wakawel.info/Gambia ngir am ay xibaar yu wóor ci anam yi nga nar a jaaree boo buggee tukki bitim réew, soxla jàng, liggéey ak mbiru jula fii ci biir réew mi Gambia.
Welcome back. If you're just joining, this is Gambia-24 with me, Sohna Tunkara, and now to the rest of our story. On the 17th March 2020 was the day when the Gambia registered its first case of the deadly coronavirus, which caused a devastating impact on the world. And the pandemic has stressed every country it touches with a huge impact on its social, economic, and political effects, which the Gambia is not an exception. The ICC files in this report.
The one-year anniversary of the virus presence in the Gambia is fully remembered as turning point to people's freedom in how they relate to one another. As in the case worldwide, COVID-19 served as a threat to lives, in addition to the creation of barriers among people no matter how close they are related. 1 year ago, the first case of the novel coronavirus in the Gambia was confirmed on a traveler from the United Kingdom by the Medical Research Council in Banjul. Since then, public and private activities have been in consideration of safety measures in view of the virus. Health workers remained in the forefront in the fight against the pandemic. As the Minister of Health, Dr. Ahmad Lamin Samate, reflects on the journey 1 year on, the country has come a long way.
We can all agree that we've come a long way. Alhamdulillah, we've been able to deal with COVID-19 the way we did so. There have been challenges. It's never been perfect. But I think the team and the partners did very well.
The pandemic has, among other things, disrupted access to life-saving, sexual and reproductive health services in many countries. Although the country continues to receive support from the WHO and the outside world, there is still more to be done.
We've learned quite a lot about it now, but there is still a lot that we do not know about COVID-19, and information and knowledge is being gathered as we speak. But as he rightly said, there are public health strategies that go for every public health emergency, where there's COVID-19, where there's Ebola, where there's any other public health emergency, that are used as guidelines for people to stay safe. And those guidelines were put in place from the onset. And I believe following those guidelines have helped this country a whole lot.
The first COVID-19 related death in the Gambia took place on the 23rd of March 2020, during its peak period in the West African state. Many sectors were unavoidably shut to prevent a serious rise in the number of infections. The tourism industry was among the affected areas by the pandemic, causing a nationwide economic downturn. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am Daisy.
The fight against the global pandemic continues, and it clocks 1 year in the Gambia since the first case was registered in March 2020. Well, that was all on Gambia 24. I am Sohna Tunkara. Thanks for watching and bye for now.